Hi. Can you
I
hear me?
was so impressed by that introduction.
You were?
I was very, yeah. It sets the
Thank
mood quite
you.
well.
That
Mhm.
makes me feel so good. Thank you so much. I made it and it kind of flowed and I love it. Now that everybody's so panties in a bunch about, the music you use and everything, even if you can get it off of a public domain. Are you freezing?
No, you're freezing on my side.
I thought you were quiet.
No.
No?
This
Okay.
has been happening a lot, though. This has been happening a lot, but we'll be good.
Let me turn this up here. Okay. How are you this evening, my sir?
I've been looking forward to this day like a child looks for a show nearly enough. You understand that, correct?
Wait, what? Say it again. You broke up.
Yeah.
You
I
broke up.
said
I
you
didn't
don't
hear
have me
you.
on your show nearly enough.
This is
You don't
true.
have me on your show nearly enough. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
you're correct.
So
You're
now
correct.
we're,
We
yeah,
have to like sit down and pick dates.
that's right. That's right.
We have to pick some dates so
Yeah.
that I already have you scheduled in.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
Oh, we.
listen. What?
Oh, something. Well, yeah.
What? There's a lag.
All right, we're good. We're good. All right.
Now we're good. Now you're here.
Oh, okay. Good. Good.
Okay. So for everybody out there in TikTok land and YouTube land and Facebook land, first of all, this is if everybody has watched Paranormal Brew, Mr. Murphy has been on my show quite some time. He is just a walking encyclopedia of information that I could talk to him 24/7 because he's brilliant. He's an author. He investigates cryptids, he investigates ghosties, he's investigated UFOs. He does it all. He is amazing. So, Ron, just inform me. Am I allowed to announce what you told me?
Yes, you can. You'll be the first.
Yay. Okay, wait. You say it then.
No, it looks more humble of me for you to do it.
So let me say it. So before we went live,
Yes.
Ron informed me that he was invited and he's going to be a speaker at the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash this year coming up. I am so excited.
I am as well too, and I will be talking on vampires.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's my favorite.
That's one of my favorites too. I think it's going to be very exciting. But I'm looking forward to seeing you and all these other great people.
Yes. And vampires, I always said if somebody said you have to choose between like werewolf, vampire, ghost, whatever, I'd be all about vampire.
You have to. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
They have like the best lifestyle.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, like they have everything.
That's right. They don't grow old. They don't have to work in the daytime. They get to make out with very attractive other vampires. That's my big thing as well too. So
yeah, they party. Everybody's hot, and they live in these like the best.
Mm-hmm.
They live in the best houses. Everything's like so chic and like, I'm like, yeah, I'm all about it.
That's right.
I
I'm all
don't need
about it
daylight.
too. My daughter, yeah, my daughter watches those Vampire Diaries, so it's about these teenage vampires. I thought, that's a pretty cool way to live. Live down south someplace in some sort of antebellum plantation. That'd be a great way to spend a lifetime.
You ain't kidding. I mean, I might still go to the Eisenhower farmhouse and be a vampire there.
You can do that. You can do that. If Abe Lincoln Vampire Slayer taught us anything, that's right. That's right.
That was such a good movie too.
Uh,
People knock it, but I'm telling you, it was good. I liked the way it was done.
yeah, it was done well. I agree with you. I agree. I mean, somebody came up with an idea and they ran with it and it worked out.
I mean, the name when you see it, when I first saw the name, I saw, Abraham Lincoln the Vampire Slayer. I'm like, really? Like
Mm,
they couldn't come up with anything more cheesier, right?
yeah.
But you watch it. I love how they just incorporated the loosely Civil War history, the silver and all that stuff, into how the Confederates were the vampires and like all kinds of stuff. It was just really cool how they
It,
did it.
it was a fun popcorn movie, right? It was
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
Mm,
Um, so for anybody out there that does not know you, my dear friend,
mm.
briefly give us a little synopsis of Ron Murphy and where your books, writings, how you got into it, stuff like that. And then I want
Oh,
to talk. We're gonna dive into
I cannot wait. Yeah.
Christmas ghosty stuff.
That's right. So a little bit about Ron Murphy, right? So I grew up in a very small, rural Western Pennsylvania town. I had a very Norman Rockwell-like upbringing, I suppose. But my mother was very much into the paranormal, so she indulged my little preteen mind into there might be a Bigfoot out there, and there might be a Loch Ness monster out there, and there might be aliens. So ever since I've been a child, I have been interested in all things that go bump in the night. Probably because I'm afraid of things that lurk in the shadows, right? So this kind of exercises these fears that I have by researching them. So I've written books on things. Oh, see, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. I might keep it. I might keep it all the time, as a matter of fact, there. But so I've researched things like my first book was on research that I've done here in Western Pennsylvania. And then I wrote a book on mermaids, and then Bigfoot and vampires and werewolves and witches and lake monsters and other things. A lot of other things. Hello there, Lori. I've been doing this stuff now for probably 15 years, and I'm really really enjoying it. And the reason why I enjoy it so much, Taryn, is because I get to meet people like you along the way.
Amen to that.
Yeah. This field can be very cutthroat, can't it? I mean, you
Oh,
really don't know who to trust. There's very few genuine people here, and I am glad that I've aligned myself up with some pretty good, genuine people along the way.
yes, I agree with you 100%. I mean, sometimes you get stuck with somebody, two or three people that kind of aren't fitting your agenda or going in the same direction or don't,
Mm,
have the same, motivations and stuff like that, if you will. I'm
mm.
being nice about it, but
Right,
they weed themselves out pretty quickly, I think. And then you kind of just tend to glue with the people that you glue with.
right. I think there's a lot of people out here with ulterior motives. They're
Yes,
looking to use you for some reason, and then once you're no use to them, they toss you aside. And I've lost some pretty major friendships over this. People that I thought were going to be my friends, and then you find out that they were just using you to jockey for some sort of position.
it
So
does. It does. And it's happening more and more and more, I've noticed. And like, you know, when somebody says that to me, when something happens and they're like, well, they were just using you for your name, I'm thinking, who am I?
yeah.
Like,
Well,
but
you have to take it as a compliment because obviously they see you as something that they need. I do find it a little bit flattering whenever I, get raked over the coals because somebody saw something in me that they lacked. right?
Right.
So yeah,
But
yeah.
do you know what? I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, why?
And I think you're awesome. And
Well, I
I and
appreciate
I
that.
and I love you. And I've always has. Like you go back to our first show
Yes.
and because you've been on quite a few times and I'm just like you're just like awesome. I recommend you to everybody. I think you're a great guest for a show. I think you're an awesome friend and you know the comedic side of it, I think you missed that calling as well because you are very funny.
Well, I appreciate that, Taryn, and I feel the same way about you as well too. And if we were in the same room right now, I would rip you open like a Christmas present on Christmas morning. Yeah,
From the vampire standpoint.
sure, absolutely. We'll do the vampire standpoint. That's right. That's right.
So I have a question. So the books that you write, because you
Yes.
mentioned different categories, do you believe in all of these things, or are these just things that you research and then write about?
See, these are excellent questions. That's another reason why I like being on your show as well too, because we're going to get right to the heart of the matter.
Yeah.
So I genuinely believe that these things that I write about are so ingrained in our collective unconscious that they become archetypes. So they're a universal symbol for all mankind. So we talk about the wild man motif, or we talk about mermaids, or any of these kind of monsters, these kind of creatures. Nearly every culture around the world could identify with them. Okay. And from a sociological point of view, I find that fascinating and I find that worthy of study in and of itself. Because even if these creatures may not be flesh and blood, they still exist within our folklore. And in a way, that brings them to life as well. Now, I do believe things like Bigfoot, things like, hold on one second here. I just got to, my computer's asking me to update and I just had to tell it to go someplace.
Yeah. So you
But
said
I
you do
like,
believe in Bigfoot, right?
yeah, exactly. Bigfoot,
Okay.
and the idea of shapeshifters and everything. I do firmly believe in all that kind of stuff. But the whole problem is with that is, do I think that they exist to this very day? That's the problem. I think that we as humanity in our distant past has confronted these things that we call Bigfoot and all that stuff. And that is the reason why we carry it on with us today, because we were afraid of them. They impacted our psyche to a point that they have become the stuff of nightmares. Now, the problem is, could it be that there's still a remnant population of these things out there? Well, of course, especially whenever it comes to Bigfoot, because I've interviewed enough people to know that there's something out there. And I've had enough anecdotal evidence happen to me that I know that there's something out there. So that's why we continue, right? We are continuing because there's a big question mark out there that hangs out over our heads that we're trying to find the answers to.
Absolutely. I was just on Spaced Out Radio last night and the
I
same.
know you are very well done.
Thank you. I got off of that. Well, of course, we're our worst critique, right?
Yeah.
When I was done, I was like, that was so horrible. There were 200 people watching on YouTube, and
Yep.
I bombed.
No, you did not bomb. The problem I think that you experienced is the same thing I experienced. It's a 3 hour program and it's on like dead of night around us, right? 3 o'clock in the morning, you probably finished up.
Well, I was only on from 12 to 2, so I was on for 2 hours.
Okay, because I've
Um,
lost would have won.
yeah, and you know, I wasn't quite sure where the information came from, but he had one point it said, and I'm not knocking him. I mean, it was great. He was a great host. He was, this and that. But he said you went from investigating ghosts to investigating cryptids.
Yeah.
And I was like, no. I said I have investigated
Yeah.
Bigfoot before, but ghosts, if you will, for lack of a better term, Casper, whatever you want to call it, spirit, you know, that's my niche, right?
Yeah.
So that's my thing. But I think I did okay. I mean, I think the questions kind of threw me off, so I was going around in a circle for a little bit, like trying to think of an answer, I guess, because I wasn't familiar with some of the like the cryptids and stuff. Like, oh, what's your favorite cryptid? Well, I don't know, Bigfoot, I guess. But that's
Right.
so like, but
Yeah.
that's the only one that I really You
But,
know?
but but you're not giving yourself enough credit because I've known you for a while to know that you have been out looking for the Jersey Devil too. Remember? You forgot about that little fiasco that we were all supposed to get together that time. So I know, next time. But you have done things out there in the world of the paranormal that transcends just your typical ghost hunting, right? You've looked at the other side of the spectrum as well. And that multidisciplinary perspective that you bring is the reason why people need to talk to you, and the reason why people need to put you on talk shows is because you see the world from a very different way than most other people do, and that's the reason why I thought that it was such a successful interview.
Thank you.
Mm.
And here we have, um, correct me if I say this wrong, I apologize. Um, Chiro
That's
sound?
Cairo.
Cairo, thank you.
Yeah.
Cairo sounds. He said you did. They said you didn't bomb. I'm
Mm.
here because of that show.
Yep, there
So
you
that,
go.
thank you so much. That means so much to me. You have no idea to actually
Yep.
hear that. So I'll shut up about myself because this
You've
is
got fans. See, that's what I'm saying. You've got fans. Everybody is going to be their own worst critic, and so just go with it. Just bask in the love that these people are showing you.
hey. With the love though comes those little that try to creep in there and
Yes, yes, yes.
but
Well, yeah, we'll keep those things at bay.
that's where I wish I was psychic. You know what I mean? Or a psychic medium so I could say, I see you coming a mile away.
That's right.
Whoa.
That's right. That's right. But you know what? Most psychics, I think, are so open to other people that they fall into the same trap as well. The idea of loving humanity as it is and accepting them without any kind of preconceived notions. I think psychics are just as easy to hurt as you and I.
Yeah, that's true. That is
Mm-hmm.
so true. Um, we tonight are gonna dive into some Christmas ghosty stuff,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Krampus, and all kinds of stuff that Ron is very familiar with. I love hearing his stories, so I'm gonna shut up. I want you to talk to me about Christmas ghosty stuff.
You know what? Let's go over the lyrics of one of my favorite songs, and I'm sure it's one of your favorite songs as well too. It's the most wonderful time of the year, right? You can just listen to this music and it evocatively takes you back to the Christmas of your youth because in this song we have kids jingle belling. Not sure exactly what that is, but I will accept that. You have holiday greetings, which makes a lot of sense to me. Friends come a calling, right? You can already feel the good natured vibes in this. Marshmallows roasting, oh, perfect. Then scary ghost stories. What the hell is up with that?
Yeah,
So
that's true.
it doesn't make any sense to me at all. So I had to get to the bottom of it, damn it. So I started to research into the haunted history of Christmas. And sure enough, beneath the character of Old Saint Nick and behind the evergreen tree is a lot of really creepy stuff going on. So
Oh,
I think we should talk about all that kind of stuff, don't
let's do
you?
it. Yes, let's
Let's
do
do
it.
it. Yeah, yeah. So get yourself a thing of eggnog or a hot toddy or whatever you drink. Put on a Santa hat and pull up the chair and let's all talk like we're around the campfire. Okay,
Yes.
so Christmas really wasn't a big deal for most of its life. Okay, so take the Christmas starts 2,000 years ago. So when was Jesus born? Would you say? When do you think Jesus was born?
Oh my gosh. What do they say? Something BC, like
Yeah, about 3 or 4
2000,
BC. Yeah.
2000 BC or something?
Oh no, yeah, that would be a little bit far. Yeah, so about 2,000 years ago. So the interesting thing is though that
Oh, I said
Jesus.
BC. BC stands for before Christ, so it couldn't have been. So it was like
No,
2000 years ago.
yeah, but the calendar's a little bit wrong. So he was probably born a few years before that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So the reason why, see, because Jesus wasn't born in the wintertime, right?
Right?
Right. And how do we know he wasn't born in the wintertime?
Well, it's because of I guess the Bible tells me so.
Yeah,
No.
right. So it says in the Bible that the shepherds were watching their flocks at night. So they were outside. So we know that this is a season in the Holy Land whenever you could take your flocks out and do whatever flocks do at night, right? So this is probably spring, early summer, okay? So we know that Jesus was born sometime around that time. So why, for heaven's sake, is Christmas where it is now? Any guess?
I know.
Okay, so December 21st is the winter solstice.
Yes.
And every day after that, we start getting more light. And Jesus is the light of the world, and they put it there to be symbolic.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's the reason why we have Christmas when it is. But it's going to get a little bit more exciting, Tara,
Yes.
because before Jesus, before Christmas, people love this time of the year so much they had other festivals at the exact same time. And we
Mhm.
borrow from those festivals as well too. The Romans, for instance, had something called Saturnalia, and that was for the god
Mm.
Saturn, who was an agricultural god. And people would gather together and they would give gifts to each other and they would feast and have a good time. Probably a couple orgies in there every now and then too, just for good measure. But this was a time when people would gather together and just have fun because wintertime can be scary, right?
Yeah.
Wintertime is cold, you're not going to be getting out or anything like that. But in the pagan cultures, what they like to do is they like to sacrifice things because that made all the sense to them in the world. So a little while later in Saturnalia, you used to sacrifice animals and all that kind of stuff. And there
Yeah.
is Yep, there is some anthropological evidence, however, that they were also sacrificing human beings.
See, I'm fine with that, but the animal thing,
Yeah,
I would be good with.
I
I
don't
would
do
be
well with that either. That's right. That's right. So we know from the archaeological record that they were giving these little characters out, these little terracotta human beings called singularias, which they signify something. So it was kind of like, we're not sacrificing a person for you, but here's your little kind of mini person to take home with you. So it's kind of like a gift. And they would also give gifts of candles a lot too, which makes sense because there's no light out this time of the year. So we have people giving candles and things like that. But at about the same time, our other friends over there in Scandinavia and everything, the Vikings, or the people that are going to become the Vikings, they have this notion of something called Yule. And that's, we get the Yule tree from there and the Yule tide from there.
Yeah.
And it's right there, December 21st. And the reason why that is so important in the agricultural calendar is because even though it's the first day of winter, it's called midwinter because it's halfway until the growing season begins. So that was very important to them.
Huh.
But so these guys, their god was Odin, the All Father, right? And he was this bearded guy that would roam around in the dead of winter with all these ghosts and demons as his retinue, and they would sweep across the land. And if anybody was caught outside, he would sweep them away, and they would never be seen again. Probably a personification of storms and such. But the thing is, though, Odin also was a very angry god, and he did a lot of killing. He did so much killing that the furs that he wore were often stained red from all the blood that he went through. And
Wow.
yeah, well, check this out. This is going to get really good. So that goes on for about 1,000 years. And then people in England, because the Vikings came over to England about 700 and did their little Viking things, they started to spread their little Viking culture. And all of a sudden, that Odin character now becomes Father Christmas. Wow. So we have the All Father, who is Odin, now becomes Father Christmas. And those clothes that were stained in blood are now the red clothes of Father Christmas. And of course, we all know that he's soon to become Santa Claus.
Wow.
Yeah.
So originally he was not nice, right? I
He
mean,
was
but
not
that's
nice. That's
he
right.
was
Not
not
nice.
nice. He would take you if you were bad.
It would take you, well, even if you were good, if you were outside and got caught up in the wrong thing. Okay, so we're talking about agricultural societies. Think how scary that is because if the winter would last too long and you don't get your planting in, you could be doomed the next year, right? This is the time, like I said before, this is the time whenever people are going to be dying. It's not a happy time of the year. So if Odin is personified as a winter storm, you would tell these kind of tells almost like a boogeyman type of thing, so people would stay inside. Because if you're caught outside in a blizzard without any kind of electric light or a cell phone, there's a good chance you're going to be a goner, and you might not be found again. It might look like somebody whisked you away, you know. So I think a lot of these kind of elements are kind of stories to keep people in and tell them, you know, they have a not only a fear of nature, but a deep reverence and respect for nature as well too. So we have all these different images of nature coming through. And if people are having any problems with this and say, oh, that can't be true, think about our Christmas tree. I mean, that is nothing more than a symbolism of the nature influence that came from there. Because the Yule, before they put up a tree, they used to have something called the Yule log, which was usually an ash tree or an oak tree. And they would take this sucker, and it would be a big sucker, and they would bring it into the house and they would burn it for 12 days. That's where we get the 12 days of Christmas from. So it's a big one. So then you would put out all of your hearth lights, and then everybody around you would light their hearth lights with this Yule log, and it would be starting the year all over again. So it's kind of like burn the old thing away and start off the new year again. I think it's great. It's beautiful. I think it's beautiful symbolism. And then a few hundred years after the Yule log, then they start bringing in trees just to put them up, and then you have the Yule tree. But yeah, it all starts off with a Yule log. It starts off with this bearded guy that roams around in the clouds, taking kids away from their mothers because they were outside in storms. So these are all really interesting precursors to see what happens with Christmas. Because even though it is about the Mass of Christ, about Christ's birth, we are still so enamored by the pagan past that we keep it to this very day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting because back in the English Civil War, now this is going to get a little bit boring, but I'll try to spice it up for you. So the English Civil War, there was a guy named Charles the First on the throne, and guess what? He was a Catholic. Oh, and those Catholics, they believe in this pagan stuff. They have no problems with statues and symbolism and everything. And they thought this can't happen. Not in England. This is not going to happen anymore. So there was the English Civil War, 1642 to 1651. And the ultimate Scrooge was there. And his name was Oliver Cromwell. And he became Lord Protector of England, Scotland, and Ireland. And one of the first things he said was, we have to outlaw Christmas because we're getting away from the spirit of Christ in it. So Christmas was outlawed. And not only was it outlawed in England, but it also followed over with the Puritans coming to the New World. As a matter of fact, if you would go back about 300 years to New England, and it was Christmas time, if you decorated, you would be fined for decorating because it was an offense to the church. And Christmas was just an ordinary day where you work. No problem at all. You work. But Christmas was also a time kind of like Lent where you had to fast and there was abstinence going on and there was penance going on. So this wasn't a celebration. This was a time to look at your past sins and make yourself right with God. So yeah, it's really interesting. It takes so long until we start seeing a glimmer of Christmas as we know it coming in. And actually, Christmas as we know it probably doesn't begin until after the Civil War.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, how did they incorporate something so had such a negative background, so to speak, and then all of a sudden now it's like it's the most wonderful time of the year.
That's right. That's right. Exactly. Well, one of the places where you would see, and we know this from the historical record, we know in places like Williamsburg and Jamestown that the churches down there, even though they were Puritan churches, even though they were puritanical churches, they still like to decorate. And they wouldn't have went all out. They would have decorated with maybe some holly and maybe some evergreen and everything like that. But churches really like that symbolism because the evergreen was a symbol of life in the depth of winter, But also evergreens also demonstrated not only life, but it was also a way to ward off evil as well too. So you have these little things going on there as well. Also, in churches, you would have candles burning. And well before an establishment of Christianity, you had candles used to ward off evil. And also, and we have this in our Christmas songs as well too. Silver bells. You find the silver bells in churches too. Now let's think about that for a second. So, and we know in modern day Wicca, bells are sometimes used to ward off evil and to cleanse the area and things like that. And to make them silver is a way of actually driving away all things supernatural, because silver is a bane to fairies, it's a bane to werewolves and everything else.
Vampires.
Vampires, that's right. Yeah, one of the reasons why vampires are said not to be able to see the reflection in a mirror is because one times mirrors were made of silver, and that's the reason why they couldn't see the reflection. Yeah. So we have silver bells. So we have, even in a church, you have still these pagan elements there, because you don't want to take too many chances, right? If these things work, let's include these things. But you start seeing this slightly before the Revolutionary War, whenever people are starting to bring things in. Now we know that Martin Luther, back in the 1500s, we know that he was the first one to decorate a Yule tree with candles. We know this because he liked to write a lot. He was walking one winter's night, and he was, bringing up a sermon in his mind, and he saw these evergreens against a backdrop of twinkling stars. So he said, "I have an idea. I'm going to bring those stars into the house." And he put candles, and from that time on, the homeowner's insurance went through the roof, because you shouldn't do that. But so we know that people decorated Yule trees and everything, but it probably doesn't start, like I said, until after the Revolutionary War that people start doing that. But there are reports even up into 1840s in New England where people were still a little bit leery about these Christmas trees.
Really?
Yeah, true story.
Wow.
True story. Yeah. And
Wow.
the
Wasn't that
color.
something else with people putting lights in the windows of the houses? Like, wasn't that something like either somebody passed away or like what there's some
Yeah, well, see, that's a good point. See, that's how we find out how all these kind of legends and lores come together. Because even in um, other ideas and other notions, the idea of the candle, of leading the Messiah to the house, or allowing the dead to pass by. I mean, we do the same thing whenever we put a candle in a jack o' lantern's mouth, right? I mean, this kind of thing to ward off evil. So when we think about these, churches that put candles up, that's alluding back to a very pagan custom, which is used simply to drive away the darkness.
right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. But whenever you look at the churches, though, so we think of Puritans because, of course, they wanted to purify. When we think about Puritans, we think of them as very black and white and gray, right? Not a lot of colors, and that was true. And you don't see colors being brought into Christmas time until much later as well, too, because they all had some sort of pagan element. For instance, red, and we all, our Santa hats are red, but at one time they were seen to be the symbol of the Holly King. And we know that, holly comes out in the wintertime, so that's a wintertime fruit. So the red represents the passing of this winter fruit into the green, which becomes the oak king, and he's going to be giving away to spring. So all the symbolism in there, but that's pagan symbolism, so they didn't like to use that at all. And then you have other things like white, which symbolized hope and light, and you had silver, like silver bells again, but that represented the moon as well too. It has this that silver glow to it as well. And of course, gold was the sun, and people were looking for the sun to reemerge and heat up everything and take away this all this dreariness away. But it was early on, whenever the church said, they used the sun and then the Son of God interchangeably, and then they make it a whole new holiday. Look, I'm a believer. You're a believer. It takes nothing away from what we believe. It just adds further depth to why we do the things that we do.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because I know we've talked about this before, but I feel like I'm learning so many new things all over again, you know
Mm,
what I mean?
true.
And it's interesting because I didn't even think it was as late of as 1840s that there
Oh,
was.
absolutely, yeah. And actually, I don't know whenever Christmas was actually established as a actual holiday, but I do know that the first time Congress met, it was on Christmas Day because they weren't paying attention to it as
As a
any kind of
holiday.
holiday. Exactly, they just met on that day. It was just a regular day.
Wow.
Yeah,
But now, did other people continue to celebrate that?
yeah. Well, sure. Okay, so you're talking about like other countries and everything.
But I mean,
The,
like other people, like even though it wasn't nationally, if you will,
right.
back then, I mean, obviously it's not what it is now, but
Yeah.
around
Right.
the world or
Right.
United States, whatever you want to call wherever we're
Right.
at, wasn't known as this positive thing or wasn't celebrated as this or that. I mean, there were still people that were
Oh,
doing
sure. There were still people. Yeah, the Germans were celebrating this. They had no problems. Germany was a Catholic country for a long, long time. And we can see about 1650, whenever they're putting up Christmas trees together and singing songs and everything. Maryland, of all of our states, was the only state founded by Catholics. So they still celebrated Halloween there, and they also celebrated Christmas as well. But another place where Christmas would be celebrated, and that would be, of all places, in the South. And this is a beautiful way of looking at things. So whenever Africans were brought over as slaves, they actually had traditions as well too, agricultural traditions. The idea of the year changing, okay, and they wanted to celebrate this, and they did celebrate this. The other thing is that whenever they were taken from Africa, their lives did not exist in a vacuum. There's been some people that wrote that as many as 30% of all the slaves that were brought over could have been introduced to Catholicism while they were over there in Africa. And a lot of them were Muslim. So they were brought over here with a belief system already intact. So I think whenever we think about the carryover and those folks that actually kind of nourished this candle so it wouldn't go out for both Halloween and Christmas. You have to look at the people that were marginalized, that took faith in these kind of symbols, and they would not let them die, and that's the reason what they're with us today.
so is that where Kwanzaa kind of came from as well?
Yeah, well, Kwanzaa is a brand new holiday.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
yeah, it was founded, I believe it was in 1969 in Berkeley, California, by somebody that wanted to recognize the heritage of African Americans. But absolutely, your point is so valid because it does represent the gifts of the earth and the gifts of the people and the way you can serve one another. I think it's a very beautiful like that. But yeah, absolutely. So, um, but we will eventually have our Christmas trees and everything. But Saint Nicholas finally becomes Santa Claus shortly after the Civil War, and well, actually, the first time we see Saint Nicholas is during the Civil War because Nash, who the guy that drew them, actually uses that as Northern propaganda because what he was saying to people is whenever this war ends, we will have these celebrations again. It's something to look forward to. So he borrowed that Father Christmas motif, inserted that in, and it's something that becomes uniquely American.
Mhm.
And so then we have a visit from St. Nicholas, which is 1823. Now that's really old if you think about it. 1823. This is years before the Civil War. But the guy that wrote it, though, he was a pretty intelligent fella, and he was studying a lot of ethnic cultures from the Scandinavian region. And if we look at Santa Claus in a visit from St. Nicholas, he wasn't so much a man as more of an elf, and he even calls him a jolly old elf, right? And he's also magical. He can push the side of his nose and become vaporous and go up the chimney.
A
So there's a
shapeshifter.
yeah, he's a shapeshifter, absolutely. And and also Like Odin, who is the All Father, he's all knowing. He also knows if you're naughty, and he also knows if you're nice as well too. So we can never fully break free from that idea of this pagan god riding through the skies. And we do see too. We do see by the time the Yule tree is brought in the house, people start putting ornaments on trees that are effigies of things they want the gods to bring them. So they would put like a little baby on the tree, hoping to get somebody pregnant. Yeah, I know.
Well, I'm gonna put dollar bills all over my tree if
Well,
that's the case.
yeah, I would think in a culture that's not quite monetary yet, that might be a little bit difficult. So maybe a cow on there or a goat, something like that you want.
Oh, I'm
right?
definitely put goats on there. I want a goat.
I want to go too. I do. Look, I don't know anything about goat rearing or animal husbandry, but I think that I would be a damn good goat herder.
I mean, like, I don't want to herd. I want like one or two, that I can like hang out with and snuggle with and like play with.
Yeah, would you drink their milk?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I might eat their cheese.
And goat cheese. I'm not sure. I don't
Yeah,
know. They would be
yeah.
they would be like my pets, I think. Like I would just totally love them.
You would not have to mow your lawn.
Right, I know. How
Yeah.
great is that?
But you know what goats remind me of, don't you?
What?
Krampus.
Krampus.
Yeah. He's kind of a
Well,
little goat creature.
yeah. I mean, he does, right? He has like the horns and everything.
That's right.
Um,
Yes. So
like
that image comes from, the idea of satyrs, right? Because these little satyrs in Greek mythology, the reason why they look like goats is because goats, I don't know if you knew this or not. Did you know that goats are very horny creatures? Yeah, the term that's used is lasciviousness, right? They're lascivious creatures. So they've always been a symbol. That's one of the reasons why the devil is often pictured as a goat, is because witches were believed to have the sex with them, right?
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wait. They were bumping uglies with goats?
With Satan. So in order to identify Satan, they made him in the form of a goat because
Oh.
goats are always horny.
Oh.
Yeah, there you
Are,
go.
is this is like horny or horny?
Well, there are another good point. This is why, Taryn, you're one of the best in the business. So there is a strange correlation that the word horny may indeed come from the horn of a goat.
Really?
Yeah, there you go. So if you're horny, what you're saying is that you have the drive of a goat.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then that's why that is why my two boys are fixed. I never knew this about
Yeah.
goats.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I'm telling you. That's right.
Lori apparently she says it's an acquired taste.
The goat.
Oh, the goat milk and
Goat
goat
milk,
cheese.
goat cheese, right, right, right. Have you ever eaten a goat?
God no, I would
Neither
never.
have I. Oh, wait, you've had a gyro before.
No,
You what? You've never had a gyro?
no, never.
Oh my goodness. I will tell you this, and I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but goats are kind of tasty.
Oh no,
Yeah, yeah. If
no,
you would have a gyro, you would think that. Actually, if you would have a gyro, within a week, you would have Terran's meat goat farm out there.
no way. I couldn't do it. I say all the time, I'm like, how do people have farms and then they have like all these animals and then
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
I couldn't either. It doesn't make any sense. You name them. I have.
Hang out with them all day long.
Yeah, I know. And they'll come whenever they're called as well, too. Like whenever people take them to slaughter, they come to you as if it's, hey man, what's going on? It's like a regular day for them. And you are betraying their trust.
Yep,
We're
I
we're,
know.
we're terrible creatures.
Yes, we are. I
Yeah.
always say this. I always say if animals had a religion, humans would be their devil.
That's a great way to put it. A great way to put it. Yep.
You know, um, somebody else is saying they never had a gyro either.
Well, we're all gonna have to get together and have a gyro with cucumber sauce.
I'll eat cucumbers.
No, I love the cucumber.
Hi, Connie. Connie says, I think Saganaki is glamming goat cheese. It's awesome. I bought goat cheese today.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
It's
All right.
interesting that
Hey,
you talk about this.
I'm on board.
You know why? Because I watch Farmhouse Fixer, right?
Okay.
And that's John Knight from New Kids on the Block.
Oh, right, right, right.
Okay. He does Farmhouse Fixer Upper, and he's got a farm, and he has 3 goats that are like their children. And
Wow.
he built them this last night we were watching it.
Okay.
And it made me want to goat even more because they were like playing with them and they were like they do goat yoga. I'm like,
Yes,
this is great. I'm like,
yes.
this is awesome.
All right. So I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Go
And I'm
ahead.
going to also ask your viewers about this as well, too. Does a goat's eyes scare you?
I never thought about it,
See?
but they are kind of like marbly looking, like those old marbles we used to play with when we were
That's right.
little.
That's right. And their pupil is horizontal.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
It's not long ways. It's this way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's so they can see predators around them.
So they can see almost they can see periph.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What's their vision straight ahead?
I bet you're pretty gosh darn good.
Huh. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah.
So what would be oh, I guess lions, like if they're out in the wild and stuff, right?
Sure. Yeah,
Hyenas, lions, and
that's
stuff
right.
like that.
Or somebody wanting to make a gyro out of them.
Oh, that's goat?
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Honest to goodness.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I why did I think that was lamb?
Um, Probably because you can. I mean, you can mix and match, but I couldn't do a lamb either. I could not go there. There's no. These are baby animals. These are ridiculous things. We can't do this kind of stuff.
I know, it's so crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy that people I was told to never stare at a goat.
that's right.
Why not? Do
You
they
might be.
headbutt you?
They'd be sucked over into their world, their goat world of lasciviousness and evil.
And trusting your human that comes, come here, let's go
That's,
play.
that's
Yeah,
right. That's
no.
right. No, no. And I think that that's a good thing why Krampus is the way he is, because St. Nicholas comes on St. Nicholas Day, which is December the 4th, and he comes and he gives gifts to all the good boys and girls. But you know what? Gosh darn it. I think children nowadays are so privileged that they do not get any punishment for their deeds. So Krampus comes and he will beat these children with sticks. And not only will he beat them with sticks, but if they are very, very bad children, he will take them away from you, and you'll never see them again.
Well, when was Krampus uh, brought into the world of Christmas?
Oh, he's ancient. That's another pagan deity. So even before Christ was born in the manger, we still have these Krampus individuals out there, these nature gods. But people really like this stuff, and they don't want to let it go, so they incorporate it into their worldview. So now we have Santa Claus or Saint Nicholas, which is a Christian saint, teaming up with a little pagan deity, and they're out there, kicking ass and taking names.
Wow. And
Mhm.
Krampus supposedly takes children.
Yes, he
Okay.
might beat them. He could beat them, but sometimes he takes them as well too. Again, if you think about the Wild Hunt again, whenever Odin sweeps across the land, and then by the time it comes to America, because we have the Wild Hunt idea in colonial America as well too, and Odin is now replaced by the devil himself. That's kind of like what's going on with the Krampus myth as well too. It's this figure that comes out of the natural world, and if you're not careful, it will take you away.
Hmm. I don't like Krampus. He's scary.
He's scary. He's scary.
Somebody had a question up here, and I didn't. Lori. Lori asked, "How about the Native Americans? Did they celebrate Christmas like we do?"
Okay, so yeah, the idea of celebrating the passage of seasons is in every culture around the world because it's so utterly important. And Native Americans, and of course, whenever you say Native Americans, that's kind of an umbrella statement because we're talking about tribes and languages and customs and cultures that stretch over a great vast area, and each tribe was individual from the other ones as well too. But did the Native Americans, did the First Nations people mark the changing of the seasons? 1000% yes, they did. All cultures do, because not only is it a rite of passage, it's a way of, kind of putting the past behind you and looking forward to something that's to come. There's an idea of letting go and an idea of preparation for things to come.
Hmm. Now that sounds like New Year's.
Right, sure. It could be as well too, which I am trying to make New Year's December 21st, because it makes sense to me. Because that's whenever we know that the seasons is now changing, right? January is meaningless. That means nothing to us, right? That's a change in calendar. Nothing astronomical is going on. But the cool thing about January 1st, is the reason why we have that on January 1st is January is named after the Roman god Janus, who has two faces. One looks behind, the other one looks ahead. And that's what we have. So we know that after Christmas time, right? So we have midwinter, we have the Yule, we have the winter solstice on December 21st. And, 4 days later, we have Christmas. And then just a week later, we have New Year's. So much stuff is going on that time of the year. That just goes to show you, that's just an echo of how important this time of the year was to cultures all across the world.
Right. And it continues to be, but now it's almost more focused on like the festivities of it and not
Right.
really the history of it,
No,
or
no,
where it's come from.
that's right. Yes, I think that we've let ourselves go to the point that it's become commercial, right? It's about how much you can acquire, or you want to show people how much you love them by how much you give them. Whatever, that's never been like that. And we know historically that the idea of gift exchange was never very big. We know in medieval England, sometimes vassals would give their lords a gift, something small. We know in colonial America, people would do it as well too. And my grandmother, who was born in 1924, she said it would be good if they would get an orange in their stocking. So these kind of things, very simple things, things that you need. And now people are selling, new trucks to give on Christmas time. We've lost the meaning of it. We really have. We've lost the symbolization of it, and we've lost really the humanity that's involved in this holiday.
Do you prefer how we celebrate now, or do you like to incorporate the history into your Christmas?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. The history into it. And I'm a practicing Catholic. And this Saturday, or this Sunday actually, is the first day of Advent. So we'll go to church and they will put these candles in a wreath, which I absolutely actually is a pagan element as well too, because the wreath represents the will of the year, the ever turning will of the year. So they'll put the Advent candles in there, and each week they'll light one after another until all four are burning, and then we go there for Christmas Day. So it's really something to look forward to. But I don't believe, even with Halloween as well too, I believe in to truly appreciate any holiday, or really any kind of occasion that you observe, you have to know as much about it as you can. And that's the reason why I drive my kids crazy about this stuff, because I try to, teach them what all this is about.
So being a practicing Catholic, and what you're saying about pagans and stuff, do the Catholics, do they, you know, close their ears to the history that you have about the paganisms and the pagan ways and this and that, or are they open to what, or do they acknowledge the history of where it comes from?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So there's a great term for what's going on here. And that's called synchronization. That's whenever you take two very unlike things and you kind of put them together and you synchronize them into one new, brand new thing. And the Catholic Church has been doing that since its foundation. They have no problem doing that whatsoever, and taking old gods. Like it was for Halloween as well too. The people loved Halloween so much they said, look, we love this Jesus guy. We really do. But we also like Halloween very much. And the church says, okay, I'll tell you what, you can have the best of both worlds, but don't tell them that you're like honoring ghosts. Tell them you're honoring saints, and then it will be all cool and everything. But they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were doing. In order to get the greatest number of people to believe in something, it's better if you allow them to keep some of their old ways as well.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Um, Mark asks, does the Amish celebrate Christmas?
The Amish do not see. That's still the Amish is still part of that puritanical worldview. The Amish also, however, have superstitions. Why you see these hex symbols on their barns and on their homes. So they really are still hearkening back to the old ways as well too, but they will not go as far as celebrating something as heathen as Christmas time.
It's crazy. And do they celebrate Halloween?
No, no, I don't think they celebrate birthdays either. Yeah,
That's boring.
it
All
is.
they do
There's
is
so
work.
many
All
traditions
they do
out
is
there.
work, eat, sleep, and poop and
Yeah,
shit. Like, I mean, because
that's right.
I
Yeah,
mean, oh, I
yeah.
would be out. I'd run
Yeah,
away.
the Jehovah Witnesses don't do it either, though.
Christmas or Halloween?
And birthdays, none of the above.
Why?
It's not biblical.
Well, but don't we celebrate Jesus's?
Well, we do, but that's from tradition. There's
Oh,
nothing in
okay,
the Bible that says that, right? Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Okay,
That's
that
confusing. It's confusing. It's like splitting hairs, Taryn. It's like splitting hairs.
I know. Well, and I'm a non-practicing Catholic. I did do the Catholic thing. Um, and I just myself don't believe in organized religion. You know what I mean?
Sure, and I
I
can
believe,
understand that. Yep,
yeah.
yep.
And because I feel like, it started somewhere, everything else is man-made, and man create it, they created it to fit their lifestyle, or they
Mhm.
created it to fit their agenda, or they created it to, they bounce off, they went off and did their own things and created all these different religions. Um, and I say that just speaking of our territory. I know there's so many other religions and this all over the world, you know what I mean? But I'm just speaking on ours for sure.
Sure.
Our time, whatever you want to call it. I've like lost my words. I don't know why it's not coming to me, but
No, no, you're explaining yourself beautifully. No, I understand what you're talking about. Yeah. So, and you have to be sensitive about this kind of stuff. But I think the whole thing is, they just like to say bah humbug too much. And if they would let their hair down, I think they would find about how joyous this season can actually be.
yeah. And it is. And to me, it's more about being with family and stuff like that and taking some time and just kind of, like you said earlier, sit around a fire, drink some eggnog,
Mm.
tell stories and just kind of like hang out,
That's
and
right.
yeah, I went to midnight mass once,
Mm.
and it was probably the most moving thing I've ever felt and seen.
Sure.
Um,
Absolutely.
it was 3 hours long,
Mm.
and I'm glad I got to experience it, but I don't think I would ever do it again.
Mm. You, my dear, I think you went to um, the Easter service. Did they light the candles at the very beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Easter service. That is the longest mass
Oh, no,
in
no,
the.
this was definitely.
This was a wow. I don't want to go to any midnight mass that goes for 3 hours. That ain't happening.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah,
Um, I was like, nobody told me it was going to be this long, and I'm like literally just going to jump off a
that's
bridge.
right. I've got Rudolph to watch. We got to get out of here, guys. Let's
Yeah,
wrap
yeah.
this up. Yeah,
Santa's going to go past my house.
that's right. That's right. Bring out baby Jesus. We're going home.
Yeah. So Tracy says Native Americans had the beaver moon, I believe.
Mm.
And she said also, oh, Linda says, I thought that was Tracy again. Native Americans also have the Great Spirit.
Mm.
I don't know what that is. And then Lori says family is the reason for the season.
I believe that 100%. That's absolutely the case.
What are you doing for Christmas?
Oh, I don't know. Let me see here. I might dress up like Krampus and beat some of my kids. I haven't decided yet. I might do that though.
Can you
Um,
please take a picture?
oh, I will do that. Don't worry about that. But we usually have a fairly simple Christmas. We don't go overboard or anything like that. We start opening presents up at probably about 7 o'clock in the morning, and by 7:10, I hear from my kids how horrible of a father I am because I didn't buy them what they wanted. So it's that kind of give and take type of situation. You understand that?
I totally
Yeah,
do.
yeah, yeah. People storming up, up the stairs and crying, and that's just me.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. So instead of Santa, you have Krampuses all over.
Krampus is all over the place. That's right.
I'm going to start getting Krampuses.
I think we should. They should, instead of having an elf on the shelf, they should have like a Krampus in the cupboard or something like that.
Yeah,
We,
right?
we could market that.
Yeah, we have to think of something catchy.
Yeah.
Krampus. I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Yeah, we can market that because we could come up from a whole cryptozoological point of view, because the Krampus would
Oh, that's
really kick the butt of the elf.
yeah, that's true.
Lori, I thought about doing that as well too. I think that's a great idea.
So Rob and I do that. Like we don't get each other anything for Christmas. But, we do. We'll get like maybe little stuff here and there. But we like this year we went to Clemson. We are going to the Army Navy game December 10th.
Wow.
I know. I'm excited about that.
Right.
And then we go to Gettysburg for New Year's.
You can't beat that.
And his birthday is January 2nd. So we have all
Wow.
these things like, so it's kind of hard for us to like, so we kind of focus, we'll say, okay, all of our money we're going to put towards our trips and then, his birthday and stuff. And then, and then to give gifts to the kids and stuff, you know what I mean? Like so we, I don't need anything. I like to travel. I like to go to Gettysburg,
Yeah.
be to Gettysburg, and that's good enough for me.
I agree. I think that is the thing. I'm more now at my stage in life that I want memories and I don't necessarily want anything that's tangible.
Yeah. Linda says Krampus on the campus.
That would be a great college thing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, would be.
I like it.
Hi, Darren. Paranormal Brew's here.
Oh, right.
Hi. So what is something that you want that we haven't talked about? Something that we haven't talked about tonight. That you had thought maybe before our interview, you're like, you know what, I want to bring this up if you thought about it. Anything Christmas legendary, anything like that.
We covered a lot, my dear. We covered a lot.
We did talk about a lot, right?
Yeah, we did. I will tell you one gift that I want for Christmas, though. I want a corgi. I want a Welsh corgi for Christmas.
Oh, they're so cute with their little butts.
I know. I'm a big fan of little dog butts. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. But you know that corgis are said to be able to see into the other world.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been Krampus in the corner.
Krampus in the corner. There you go. I like it.
But I've always believed that most animals can really maybe see into that world.
Well, I agree.
Like, do you know something I don't know about corgis? Like, have you heard?
No, I just think that they're cute dogs, and I would go with that because I would take them to conferences with me. See, look at all the.
I know. That was just that, I just beat myself up all the time about everything. So
I know.
I do. So I'm going to see you in Gettysburg.
Yep. It will be, I believe, the second or third week of July, right?
Yep. It's July 13th, 14th. I go Thursday, so I always add in that extra day. So 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th.
It's going to be
Christmas in July. We're going to celebrate 2 Christmases together.
I didn't know it was Christmas in July. I'll bring the hat.
I'll bring my hat then.
Sweet. And then we will tell them, hey, that Christmas tree out there, that's not historically accurate. We
That's
can be those people.
We could be those people.
That's right.
We could just reindeer on everybody's parade.
That's right. That's right. I'm looking forward to it. Now I will tell you, we didn't get over to mistletoe, but mistletoe
Yes,
was, because Christmas originally wasn't for little kids; it was an adult holiday, and so
I like it.
so by putting the mistletoe up, that was a symbol of fertility in the house, and the reason why you kiss underneath the mistletoe is because it was thought to bring about children.
Oh, oh God, to keep the mistletoe far away from me.
Far away, far away,
Far
yes.
away. No.
No,
There's no.
that's right.
No. I work for acupuncturist, and I learned tonight that there's a place at the base of the manhood
Oh, hello.
where a needle can go,
No.
and it opens up this fertility type thing. I said, clog that thing. What are you talking about? Well, who
Yeah.
comes in here and wants that thing?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want a needle anywhere near there to begin with. No, we're not going to do that.
Tracy asked, didn't mistletoe kill Loki?
You know what? I'm not aware of that, but mistletoe was an amulet against evil as well, too. So
Really?
yeah,
Oh, this is just now like what? So maybe it's all about the intention,
yes, oh, absolutely,
right? I'm
yeah,
putting a mistletoe up not to bring on a baby,
that's right.
but to ward off
Evil,
Krampus,
that's right. Perfect, perfect. That'll work. That'll work.
right?
Yeah.
So, what do you got coming up? Plug yourself, plug your books, tell everybody where to find you. You're a great guest. Anybody that's watching that has a podcast, Ron Murphy is amazing, is an amazing guest.
Oh, I appreciate that. I did have fun tonight though. You can find me on Amazon. That's where I sell a lot of my books is on Amazon. But did you know? You probably don't know this because you don't have me on your show very often. But did you know that Walmart's starting to sell some of my books? Yes, Walmart. I know. I was very pleased myself. So you can buy my books at Walmart. And if they don't have them at Walmart, you might have to order them. But it would still be cool to do that. And
Every Walmart I go into, I am going to look.
I am too. I am too. And then also, like I said, Amazon as well too. I'm not very good at promoting myself, and I really don't know where I'm going to be next. But you can look up me on Facebook at Ronald Murphy Jr., and you could friend me on there, and you can find out all the cool stuff that I'm doing.
So wait a second. So what genre would your book be under if I walked into a Walmart?
That's a good question. I have no idea how they do that. I don't know. I don't know if it would be in. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just look. But so what books do you have that are out and going to be in the Walmarts and stuff?
I know the ones that are Walmart is my Great Lakes monsters, my on aquatic monsters of the Great Lakes, my vampire one, and my witch one. I know that those are the three that are being carried right now. Oh, and they also picked up one of my books of poetry as well too.
See, it's like it's never ending. There's always this another layer of Ron that I just don't even know. Like, is the poetry based on, the unknown, the phenomena, the everything, or is it like love poems,
A
or
little bit of everything. Yeah, a little bit of
Shel
everything.
Silverstein?
Yeah. I tried my hand at erotic poetry, and you could pick that up in a volume of poetry called Ars Erotica, if you want to read some of that. So that's pretty interesting. But my poetry, I was classically educated, so I'll fool around with different things like sonnets and crowns and all this other kind of stuff. So a little bit of everything in there. So
Yeah, that's what Denise is saying. Something for everyone.
that's right. I'd like to think of myself as a Renaissance man, if you will.
You really are.
I know.
I, Like I literally could have you. I could talk to you for 4 hours about everything. I tell
Yeah.
everybody, I was like, I could ask Ron, why is a crown blue and how do they make it? And he could literally just in 2 seconds explain it to me.
I appreciate that, my dear, but you're too kind at this point.
I
So
am not.
yes.
Um. So I would though at some point. I would love to investigate with you
I know we're going to do that. The when we were supposed to go
the
to
Pine
the
Barrens.
ceremonies, that was a cluster. You have to understand that things went wrong on that I had no idea could possibly go wrong.
Right.
So next time we do that, we won't put it out there to the ether. We will keep it amongst ourselves and just make it happen.
Yeah, we have to
Yeah.
because we had planned to go into the Pine Barrens, venture into the Pine Barrens, and really basically, investigate everything.
Right.
No matter what we came across, because there's all kinds of the only thing is wrong turn people. I don't get down with that. So if I saw that, I'd be running right
I
out
would
of it.
run. Yes, I
I would
agree.
run
Yes.
because no, no.
No, I agree. I'm
No.
on the same. I would rather deal with a dozen Krampuses than one guy who is wearing suspenders with no shirt underneath it. Right.
Right. We're on
Right.
the same page.
Good. Good.
Yeah, Tracy says that's our backyard. I know. The Pine Barrens, like, I go there all the time. I go to Batstow. I go to Batstow Village. I walk around. I do. I go live when I'm there and stuff like that. I love it. But as far as investigating wise goes, I just I need to find somebody that knows that area that can take us
Right.
around.
Agreed.
Because you could get lost back there. It's
Right.
huge. It's endless.
Yeah.
We
And
might
that's
trip
all.
over Jimmy Hoffa's body back there.
That's right. And that's the other thing. You don't know who's back there with you as well, too, because
Right.
I know that that's a hot spot to drop bodies. I do know that for a fact. So it's better if we go in there with some knowledge about what's going on. So
Yeah, we for sure. I have yet to find that person, but I think that would be our first step in planning our Pine Barrens paranormal umbrella investigation.
I think that's the case too. Yep, I
I
agree.
gotta find somebody that's willing to go with us that knows those woods or that
Mhm.
forest, like they know where we're going.
Exactly. To say this is where this is where that is, and all that
And
stuff.
if we
Yeah.
need to get out, this is where we go.
Right. Because I would hate to do the first thing that I would do with you in an investigation. I would hate to have years of traumatic therapy after that to try to get these images out of my head. So let's make this a happy time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to make it a happy time.
Yeah.
I might even reach out to the Popo and say, "Hey, listen, we're gonna be going through the Pine Barrens. Um, let me say, I may be able to no, someone from town. Oh,
Oh,
cool.
Tracy coming through.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I trust her, so I like whoever she knows. I'm sure, would be kind of, I would trust, and maybe Tracy could come along.
So Tracy, you're the first in line.
Yeah, I'm in. Awesome, Linda. You're welcome to come. We want to do that. Like I want to do it. We have to do this. I want to learn about investigating Bigfoot and cryptid. The other day on Space Out Radio, I did say about like not really believing in the Loch Ness monster, and I'm sure that's in your aquatic book. So I think there's other things that I've seen on video that would scare me that is very unexplainable. There was something on a paranormal caught on camera. Not everything on that show is, there's some things on there that make you think, huh, that's strange. And
Yeah.
there's this one video that these guys took. They were in the ocean, and honestly, you cannot make out what this thing is. It's huge. Wasn't Loch Nessy. It was just it was almost like an alligator mixed with a like a molten rock
Uh,
mixed with you could see almost like an eye. It was the weirdest thing I ever saw. And that freaks me out. So that kind of stuff freaks me out. Like, because I
it
think
does me too. Yeah,
the ocean is
the
so
ocean scares me. Yep.
ocean is so it's like such a big mass. Like,
Yeah.
how do you even I can't imagine being on the top of the water when the bottom of the floor is like 70 miles down.
Oh, have you ever seen people do that before? It's weird. You know, they'll be out there in a boat and they'll jump down and all you see is darkness below you.
No.
No, I couldn't do it either.
Mm-mm.
No.
You don't know what's down there.
No, there's bad things down there.
Bad things.
Bad things.
I would like to see an electric eel, though. I like to see like the things that like glow in the dark. You know,
Right.
when they're in there, like the
Yep.
fish that glow.
Yeah, but that requires to go down on one of those submarines. And could you imagine if that would break?
Oh my
And
God, no. It's the same thing with space. I'm the
I
same way.
know. I don't want to go up there.
I love it. I love watching meteor showers, lunar
Yeah.
eclipses. I'm always, staring out into space. I love it, but I would not go up there.
No, not a chance.
No, no.
No,
I don't care how safe it is. People could have we could have condominiums on the moon and on Mars, and everybody's living a happy life up there, but I'm not going.
that's right. That's right.
I'm not going.
One little thing breaks down and you're done.
You're done.
You're
It
done.
takes you like how many years to get back to Earth?
That's right.
It's
Bad
crazy.
thing.
How do you wrap your brain around that?
I don't.
How long it takes? What was it like something was like 9 months. I remember. I can't. If we get into this, we're gonna go down a rabbit hole because
That's right.
it is baffling to me. It's insane.
It is. We'll do a show on that someday.
We should.
Yeah, we'll do that.
We should do a show on like aliens and UFOs and stuff because
Yeah,
I don't
let's
think
do it
we've
that
ever
way. Yeah.
really talked about that.
We never talk about that stuff. We will do a show on ancient astronauts and the possibility of them visiting the Americas in the ancient past.
I like it.
There we go.
The hieroglyphics show that they were seeing stuff up in the
Abs-
not hieroglyphics, but the
Yep.
drawings and the
Yep.
paintings on the walls from like Egypt and
Yep.
they have weird objects that they look like they're looking up in the sky and stuff like that. I mean, maybe it's all, up for interpretation. You know what I mean? But she said most people enter the woods around Batstow there off of 206. I live in a remote area. I like remote, but only
I
if
do
you know
too.
what you're doing or where you're going. That sounds great. Oh, good. Yeah, we'll do it. We'll set it up. We'll set that show up.
That sounds good.
I love you.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Just a few more months away.
I know. It's going to come quicker than you think.
Haha.
Do that show soon. Okay.
Yeah.
We'll do it on, like, I've been doing Sundays too. So
Okay.
even if you don't want to wait, and because I'm booked until February, which is
Okay.
a long ways, we can pick a Sunday night and we can just we can do UFOs and ancient UFO stuff and everything.
I'm in. I'm in. Just let me know.
Yay!
Yep.
Awesome. You're like one of my most favorite people.
Well, you're one of my most favorite people as well, too. And not only are you one of my most favorite people, this audience that you have right here are incredible as well, too.
They're amazing.
And that's another reason why I like being on your show.
They are amazing. I'm very blessed with the people that, yay, everybody's into that. See this? We got to do it.
Yes.
I'd watch that. You always watch my show. But I love Shane. He's awesome. Shane's actually going to be on.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Shane will be on in a couple weeks. So I'm looking forward to that.
It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so she's got it. You're going to be our tour guide, Tracy.
Tracy will be our tour guide.
Down back into the Pine Barrens.
Absolutely.
So we got to set our alien UFO show up.
Yep.
I'll post that as soon as that's, I'll do the banner for it and stuff like that. But yeah, I can't wait. That'll be really good.
I'm looking forward to it, my dear.
We'll be doing most of the talking, which is good.
No, we'll go down the rabbit hole together, and we'll just simply talk about things that we see as we go down that hole.
Absolutely. All right, everybody's digging it. We got to do it. All right, my dear.
I know. Until
I know
next time, I
I
guess.
mean, so how fast time goes.
I know. I know. It's like we're in some sort of. It's like we're abducted by aliens. Something else we'll talk about as well too.
We
Yeah.
have to.
That's right. We'll have to talk about that. But as always, it's always a pleasure to be in your presence, even if it's just virtual. But yeah, we'll see each other here in a couple months, and hopefully within just a mere matter of weeks, we'll be on again and talking about the fabulous world of ancient aliens.
Ancient aliens. I
Mm.
like it. This is something that I don't know about and I want to know about.
That we'll explore together.
Awesome. All right. We are definitely going to set that up. And everybody out there, please go like and follow Ron. Look for his books in Walmart and Amazon. And he's an amazing writer. He's awesome. Anything you need. If you have any questions, right? Can I say to message you? Is that good?
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You can do my email as well too. So it's Ronald and my middle initial L. You can't leave that out. So it's Ronald L. Murphy Jr. at yahoo.com. That's my actual honest to goodness email that will get right to me. And then
Ronald L. Murphy.
yep, Jr.
JR. Hold on. Something just popped. This stupid. Okay, there we go.
Mm.
JR
Yep.
at Gmail.
At Yahoo. I'm
Oh,
old.
at Yahoo. I'm sorry. I'll put it up in the comments so people
Perfect. Perfect.
right? I wanted to give a quick shout out to little Jing here because she's in Indonesia.
Wow.
And she's a faithful paranormal brewer. She's a brewski, I call her. Much like a lot of people in here. I love everybody that's in here. They're awesome. But yeah, I had to give a shout out to her because it's probably like 1:00 in the morning there, and she's a trooper. She is always watching. She's actually become a very good friend of mine, so I love her, and I love her support.
Well, that's awesome.
I love that I'm being watched in Indonesia.
No, man, heck yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
So yes, until next time, my friend, which it will be soon. We got to set this up. I think this would be a really good show to have.
I'm looking forward to it. I cannot wait.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right. I can't do it. I can't do it. I know.
You can do it.
Let me see here. There we go. There we go. All right, my dear. We'll see you guys soon. And thank you for all the people that came aboard tonight to listen to us.
Yes, thank you so much. And I will see you guys next week.
All right, my dear. We'll talk to you soon.
I'll see ya.
Bye-bye.
I think.